There's definitely a global need for more technologists, but there isn't a very high female representation when it comes to that specific sector. In Citi Ireland, our diversity statistics are 50% male, 50% female, but in our technology unit, of which there are 400 people, only 15% are female. The research suggests that there are 3 areas of focus. We need to influence the educational system, primary school and secondary school. We need the involvement of parents and their belief that their girls can be good at STEM subjects. And we need more female role models in this industry and in technology. But the only way that this change can happen is through the men. And today we have 3 great men with us. I'm sure there's more, but there's 3 I think are great. I'm so delighted that you could join us for this panel. So we have Deepak Jain, who's the EMEA Head of Operations and Technology, Derek Grigo, who is the TTS Global Head for Technology, and Alistair Grant, who's the CIO for EMEA and also took on recent responsibilities in risk and control. Finally, I would like to introduce Veronica Marshall from Facebook, who will speak and also join the panel after that. Veronica, you have had a lot of experience in developing these skills, and we just had a very good chat there. But one of the things I noted from your bio is that you are passionate about diversity and inclusion in the workplace, and I can safely say I'm exactly the same.
And at the moment, we have 1.3 billion users that use Facebook. We hope to have 2 billion and 3 billion and eventually the whole world. The problem is that all of those people are really, really different. They're different demographics, different cultures. They use Facebook completely differently. 70% of our users are outside of the US. 70% of our users use Facebook not in English. 50% of our users are women. 15% of our engineers who are building the products for them are. So this is really, really important. If we are to build a product that has to serve the whole world, then we have to have the cognitive diversity. We have to represent and understand our demographic. And as women creep up beyond 50% of our user base, having more women building those products was hugely important. Globally, 57% of bachelor's degrees are earned by women, but only 12% of computer science degrees are earned by women. It's 16% in Ireland, so slightly higher than the global numbers, but only 12%. And as Cecilia rightly said, the problem when you're looking at that is tech companies, whether they're financial tech, pure tech, people in all other different industries looking for people to fill tech roles, we're all trying to pull people from that 12%. Women are the biggest consumers of social games, yet only 7% of people who develop apps for Facebook are women. So what value is being left on the table there? Women make 20 trillion euro worth of purchasing decisions every single year. 87% of household purchases, the final decision is made by women, but none of the products are being made by women. None of the services are being made by women. So these are really, really alarming statistics, and how we turn those around and change the perceptions of girls has been a huge focus of the Facebook Women's Network. If you're thinking about how you find women in tech and how you attract women, some of the big things we've looked at are our benefits packages, and it stands to reason, making sure that your policies are family friendly. Titles and job descriptions. We had a couple of jobs that we thought were really, really interesting jobs that no women had applied for, externally or internally. And we had one of the girls in recruiting look at the jobs and really start to dive through it and figure out what it was. And they changed the job description and the title to creative problem solver. We changed it to creative problem solver, came in the next morning and 100 people had applied for the job, a huge amount of those women. How you talk about a job and how you sell the interesting, exciting opportunities that you have here in this company is really important, because women want to do meaningful work. They want to solve problems, they want to create. And one of the things that we've seen huge success with is looking at our job descriptions in that way. Storytelling. On our career site, we have very, very serious things. People talking about things that they built. We've started to feature more women on our career site, talking more about the creativity and the problems that they've been able to solve. Our recruiting and interview processes, we try to, every woman who interviews for Facebook has one woman interview her. That's hugely important. We had so much feedback, particularly in engineering, that they didn't meet one woman throughout the process except the receptionist. And I don't know if anyone would want to go to work with a company where you're not even sure if there's a women's toilet, because there aren't even enough, you haven't seen enough women to know if there's a need for one. And then unconscious bias training, which I know is something that you guys are rolling out here as well. And it's very similar to what we're rolling out, just to make sure that we all have these biases. and that when people are interviewing, that they're aware of what their biases are and that they're able to see past those and hire the best candidates for Facebook. We talk over and over again in Facebook about the business case for diversity. We're not doing this because it's nice to do. Right? We're not doing it because it's the right thing to do and you should have equality, and that's lovely and that's fluffy, but there is also a real business case for this. If we want to build apps for women, if we want to build products for women, if we want to build products for different cultures and nationalities, we have to have them represented within our workforce. So we talk all the time about the business case for diversity, and it's not just the women that talk about the business case for diversity, it's all of our male directors. In fact, we have a mentorship program now that's a leadership mentoring program for our women's group, and our mentors are both male and female. So our senior men are helping out with the mentoring within that.
Something that we're, passionate and that we want to promote, to promote change within that area. And that's not just a city issue. That's an industry issue that lots of things are going on in that regard. But from the statistics that we heard, and it's debatable as to why it is, how it is, then what I'm interested from the panel, I think, an introduction from our own Citi speakers, but what I'm interested in are those facts, or is that a reality or is it a myth? What is it that stops women? Why aren't the percentages higher? Maybe Deepak, can we start with you?
Where we do have women joining IT departments, but then not coming through to those more senior roles. And so those elements of unconscious bias that we have, we also instituted in various areas, particularly in tech, the rule that says interview panels have to have a woman on the interview panel, and it doesn't count if it's the HR person. It's got to be an SME, it's got to be an IT person that's on the panel. And I certainly found in Australia and Japan, where I worked before, that made a big difference. People felt that we were serious about it. It also forced the guys that were putting together the panels to think broader, because they had to go and find a woman, because typically there wasn't one in the function that they already had that was suitable to be on that panel. So they had to go external to the organisation or external to IT to get somebody to fit a panel. I think that's a particularly powerful step.
When we look at the supply side, it's not a single dimension or dimensional issue that we need to fix. It's multiple dimensions. And I think part of that reason we don't have a steady supply is because of what's the bias within schools and colleges and how kids are growing up. And how they choose their subjects, how they choose their professions. The second bit, I think, which is just as important and stuff that we can address internally, is around awareness. And that's awareness as managers, for us to know what people are actually thinking. You mentioned about when people are applying for jobs. You mentioned about the one line at the bottom about digital experience preferable. When a guy reads that, he thinks differently to when a female reads that, a lady reads that. If I'm talking to my sister or my wife, they're kind of going like, I've got no digital experience, exactly the same reaction you had, and I can't apply for this job. Whereas if a guy sees that, he goes, yeah, I carry an iPhone around, I'm digital savvy, I can apply for that job. So I think there's that difference in there. So I think the point about wording things appropriately is really important. And then I think also making sure that we encourage people within the organization, right? I think we've got to show the understanding around flexible working, all the other bits that we need to do. The point about paternity leave, maternity leave, all that kind of stuff, we've got to be more understanding. And it's about changing the culture.
2 years ago, I made a very conscious decision that rather than running a technology graduate program, we'd run a leadership graduate program. And I advertised the whole thing as the future leaders of our organization happen to be within the technology part of our group. And we went to the universities in and around Budapest, and that was our campus message. It wasn't come join technology, be a technologist. It was come and join technology, be a future leader of our organization. And leadership is very generic and can be very generic. Where I think, so that message going out was a huge success. Our pool that we recruited from was 60% women. Our actual final numbers, we took on 14 people, 10 women came in on that group. I repeated it last year. We took on 12, 8 women that have stayed with us because leadership is attractive as a proposition to anyone. To be going on a program that is going to promote you up through the organization, the default by the term, becomes not technology specific, not gender specific as it turns out, and its leadership is an attraction for everyone. So we owe it to use different terminology, to change the paradigm of what it is we're looking to recruit and what it is we're trying to promote. And we all have a responsibility, I believe, to do that.